Welcome to Read This, everybody. You just clicked a link and you got us. We're so excited that you are joining us today. This is where we take a book and we review a book that Justin has read. And the reason behind that is because we want to help you grow in your faith. And we think it's your growth is our goal, is kind of how we like to say it. We think there's lots of different ways for you to grow in your faith, and reading books is one of them. And so today we're going to do that. Justin, how's it going, man? Good to see you.
Man, I'm glad to be here, and I'm really excited to talk about one of the best books I've ever read regarding generosity and defining generosity. And so without further ado, the best book on generosity, dun, 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 How to Be Rich.
Be Rich. Great book.
How to Be Rich is written by, again, one of my favorite authors, Andy Stanley. He's, again, in my opinion, the most influential pastor in America. And of course, he's been my leadership voice for 18 years now. And I greatly appreciate his heart and his leadership. And so this book is just a great book for anybody, whether Christian, not Christian. I think this is generosity can just span a lot of different things. So not only that, but the point of the book is basically to live a generous life. It's generosity, John, is hard to nail down, and we tend to think that we are generous because we can give instances of generosity.
Right.
The book really has a play on the scripture, 1 Timothy 6:18, that says he commands Christians to be rich in good deeds. And so he's playing on that word. That's why it sounds kind of strange reading the book, How to Be Rich. It's rich in good deeds. It's how to take what you have and use our opportunity with our finances to do good. So that's kind of the summary there, my friend.
That's awesome. I want to ask you a few questions, and we do this every time to kind of get your thoughts on the practical side of it. So I'm gonna ask you a few questions on readability, informational, and then value, and you kind of rate it for us 1 to 5, and kind of give the listeners an opportunity to understand, if this is something that is good for them. How would you rate readability? Was it difficult? Was it easy?
Right. So we have a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being difficult, 5 being really easy. It's a 5.
Yeah.
Anytime you read an Andy Stanley book, it's very relatable, very understandable. He uses humor and he uses logic. Even though it's weaving through a very sensitive topic, this subject of generosity, I think he does it just masterfully. So anybody should be able to read this book.
Absolutely. What about informational? Was it some stuff that you've reviewed, or was it some new content? Was it some new info?
Right. So the scalability is 1 being just basically reviewed information to 5 being brand new information I've never heard before. And again, this is my scale. I don't know what it is with everyone. Some of it may be new, but for me, I rated it a 4. And it's not because it has new concepts, but a new way of looking at generosity.
Yeah.
It challenged my thinking. It challenged the way I thought and viewed generosity and defined generosity. So where people tend to avoid the subject, I think just Andy goes right into it. He does a great job in connecting it, and does it in a very relatable way in a new perspective. So yeah, I rated it a 4.
Awesome. And what about value, Justin? I mean, is it low application, or is it something that you revisit on a regular basis?
I revisit this one a lot. Maybe it's because I need this. I tend to be kind of some would call cheap. I don't think I would call myself cheap, but I tend to kind of hang on to things and not be as generous as maybe I should. And so I, on a personal level, revisit this as I'm being challenged constantly in my own life to be a person of generosity, not just to have instances of generosity, but as a lifestyle. What does it mean to choose a lifestyle of being generous? And so
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So last thing, why should we read it? Why should you read it?
Well, people that want to see generosity as not just a spontaneous part of life, but as a strategic staple. I think that's why we need to read it. We all fall in the trap of thinking we're more generous than I think we actually are. And it's because we're going with the definition of, well, I can recall an instance where I was generous, but there's a difference between being spontaneous generous and being strategically generous. And
Yeah. Yeah.
the changing from the spontaneity of generosity in your life to making it a staple is why I think everyone should read this book, and I highly recommend it. And so, John, not only do I highly recommend this book, but I highly recommend you use this video for a friend. Let them
Yeah.
know if they need this, then I think you should recommend this video, and you can recommend subscribing to the Worship Center YouTube page. And so, just
Absolutely.
all we're trying to do is provide content that helps you grow in your faith. And again, I think the church as a whole understands this. The church's job is your growth is our goal, and so that's
Yeah.
why we provide these videos to help you grow in your faith.
That's awesome. Good stuff, my friend.
Well, thanks for joining me, John. We'll see you next time.